Welcome.
Hello, good day. Good day. Yeah.
You're looking so smart and sharp in your suit today.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Welcome to the IELTS Hero interview time. You are
Yeah.
our featured IELTS Hero of the day,
All right. Thank you very
of
much
the
for that.
week.
It's an honor for me. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, Ray. So everybody who's watching, we're going to hear Ray's story today, and we are so excited because we know what a struggle the IELTS is. That is the purpose of the Connetics Swish IELTS support group, is that we help each other, that we support each other
Mm.
through the struggle. I know for so many nurses, you worry about the NCLEX exam, but somehow the IELTS is just even a bigger headache. Am I right, Ray?
You're right. I think that's the predicament for all nurses that has come to cross this exam because not only do they have difficulty with the NCLEX exam, but they also have to prove themselves if they're able to use and utilize English as a medium in general aspects of communication.
Yeah. So it really is a big struggle. It's a headache that hangs over so many nurses' heads all the time. And right now, nursing, especially at this time of the pandemic and in this terrible crisis that we're all living through, it's just an added struggle that many nurses are facing right now. But
You're
but
right.
like
You're right.
Ray, we want you to be done with that struggle because Ray is now done with that struggle, right, Ray?
Yeah. Yes, you're correct about that one.
Look at
Yeah.
that smile, everybody. Look how happy Ray is. That's what we want for everybody in the group.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
okay, so Ray, tell us a little bit about yourself, just your history as a nurse, before we even talk about the IELTS. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, good afternoon from the United Kingdom. I'm Ray Anthony C. Palisok. I'm a registered nurse here in the United Kingdom, as well as a registered nurse and a registered ER physician in the Philippines. I have different tenures from different departments as well. But one of the highlights of my career is serving as a frontliner for treating COVID patients and eventually seeing the cases decline through the several month span that it has peaked during this advent of this COVID season as well. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, as with all the our frontliners, we always want to thank you for everything that you do. It is a hard job at the best of times, but right now with COVID, really a lot of stress. And I think there's something in nurses. There's a special quality that not everybody has, where you really care so much for others, and it's not just talk. You're really walking in that talk. So again, we want to thank Ray and everybody else who's doing everything that they can to help in this time of crisis.
Mhm. Yeah. Thank you.
Ray, tell us who or what inspired you to come to America.
Well, basically, when I was young, I've already went to America. We went
Okay.
to Milwaukee during that time, so I had a foresight of what or how beautiful that country is. And if I just work so hard, I know that I'll be there and be able to be with my family. It just so happened that my family came first there and I had to follow them. So I told them a promise that I'll do whatever it takes to go there.
And now you're going.
Yeah, yeah, hopefully. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. What do you hope to accomplish if I know you've thought about this many times. If you think like in the next like 5 years, what do you hope to accomplish in America, whether it's from a professional or from a personal perspective? What are you looking forward to the most?
Well, ever since I was young, I was into learning and having a different perspective in each step of the way that I'm progressing. So when I get to America in about 5 years, I'm thinking about progressing myself in a career and being a world-class nurse and hopefully become a world-class physician as well. Because my goal will always be to be the best in what I do in both of my profession.
Mhm. Okay. And I think if you listen to, you know, I do the Lafora talk show. And
Yeah.
I think if you listen to a lot of the nurses that have come to America, they really will tell you themselves that that is where the opportunity is. And that is where, if you want to advance yourself from a clinical perspective, it really is, it's the place to be. The American dream is still very much alive and well, and the
Yeah.
opportunities are enormous. So,
Actually, you're right. You're right about that one. Even my sisters and my dad, my mother, they all told me how beautiful America is. And with that being said, I think that solidifies and cements the real beauty of what America can bring to each and Filipino aspirants that's aiming to go to the US.
yeah, absolutely. And as an immigrant myself, I came to America 20 years ago. And I can say the same. The opportunities that I came from South Africa many years ago, and the opportunities here are just enormous. So, let's talk a little bit about the IELTS. Tell us
Okay.
about your experience with the
Mm,
IELTS.
mm,
How many, how many times you took the IELTS. Just a little bit about
mm.
your struggles with the IELTS. What was the easiest part or the most difficult part? Let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay. First of all, thank you for your question. Um, Actually, to be frankly honest, I took the IELTS twice. The first one being as a prerequisite for the United Kingdom, which they hold a higher band score compared to the United States. And my
Mhm.
second is taking IELTS as a prerequisite for my visa screen in my application to the United States. So, those being said, before I took my second exam, I already had a pre mindset and an experience beforehand of what to expect and what to anticipate with those kind of exams. And first of all, I do understand many of the nurses that will be taking the IELTS exam for the first time. That's kind of nerve wracking, but at the same time, you have to have this certain mindset that you have to be confident because at the end of the day, you'll be taking it. And no matter how hard you work, no matter how diligent and how disciplined you will be, there's no absolute success rate for that one, except having the confidence when you sit in front of the invigilator and the assessor and you just bring out the best in your abilities and what you practice for. I think that pretty much sums up on your performance
Mhm.
as regards to that exam.
Okay. So, and thank you for that, Ray. So, and I think you're 100% right. When you talk about the confidence, confidence is often one of the biggest issues that many nurses struggle with, because you're not speaking English every day. I mean, you're living in the UK now, so obviously you are speaking English every day, but for many nurses all over
Yeah.
the world, they're not speaking English every day. How do you gain that confidence? What do you tap into in yourself to gain that confidence? Any any advice in that regard?
Well, that is a very good question, to be honest with you, because
Yeah.
before I took the IELTS for the first time, I thought of myself, why would I take this exam and what will its purpose be in my life? And I think that many of us, it's obvious that it's probably a prerequisite to go to the place that we're dreaming of. But for me, the purpose that I had was I want to learn English to the best of my abilities because that will be the ultimate medium that I will be using to converse with my patients. And if I have the difficulty to convey the information that I have inside my head, then that will impede the nursing care or the medical care that I'll be giving them, which makes it unfair on their part. Because at the end of the day, if you're a patient, you want to have the best optimum quality of healthcare that you want and will be receiving at the end of the day. So with that being said, I said to myself, I will work very, very hard, and what matter the outcome is, that will never deter my grit and my tenacity to pursue that exam. Yeah,
Okay, that's interesting, Ray, that you say that, because I've asked that question of many nurses, and not everybody has said what you just said. It's not just about the exam, it's also about the care that I'm going to be giving
yeah,
to my nurses and my commitment to my profession, that I'm going to
Yeah.
give the best care possible, the best care that I can, so that my communication skills need to be really good.
Yes.
That's,
Exactly.
yeah, that's an interesting perspective. So I think that actually makes a lot of sense. And I think for anybody listening right now, it's kind of an interesting way to think about it, because for many nurses, they just think, well, I just need to pass the exam. Like if I can just do that, that's all that their mind is focusing on, not really how is that exam going to help me in the future when I'm
Yeah.
actually working with the nurses. Yeah.
Yes. And especially in addition to that one, um, I think since you'll be going to the States, or I will be going rather to the States, I'll be meeting people from different walks of life with different creeds, different backgrounds, different cultures. And I think the significant universal language will be English. And if I
Mhm.
don't have the capacity or the confidence and the skill to utilize that language to the best of my abilities, I will be having a difficult time to really interact with them. And that will make my heart even harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm pleased that you said that, because it's actually something that Alex from Swoosh and I were talking about the other day. And we were saying this group was created really, it was just to help. We really just wanted to help nurses, not just kinetic nurses, all nurses from all over the world, to help them to pass the IELTS exam. But an interesting thing is that we were talking last week about that maybe this group also needs to be used after you pass the IELTS exam to practice your English, because it's not just about passing that exam. It's about communicating as a nurse in America in your future.
Yes.
And you're really supporting that idea. One thing that you also mentioned now is you spoke about grit. And I really, that word is very dear to my heart, because I really feel that nothing is gained if you don't have grit, if you don't have the discipline. Can you talk to us a little bit about what grit meant to you practically? Like, what did you do in your study? How did you structure your study? How long did you study for? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So I think the study technique is tailor fitted to each specific individual, and what might work for me might not work for several applicants here, or it may or it may not. But for me, during my time that I was reviewing, first of all, my problem was I was pressed for time because I was very vigilant about the visibility. At the same time, I said to myself, I already passed the NCLEX. If I don't push it harder, that will deter my chances of going to the United States of America. So I work hard for it. I might as well work the hardest at the end game, where I have to put my foot on the pedal, so to speak.
Mhm.
Second would be, what specific time frame would be beneficial for me to gain information as efficiently as possible. And me being a morning person, the optimum time for me is to study is around 3 a.m. I wake up 3 a.m. in the morning and work very, very hard. I put my Facebook on airplane, what you call this, my phone on airplane mode rather, and just
Okay.
hit my books and hit videos on how people speak. I even look at videos of comedians on how they convey spontaneously in even their facial expressions. I worked so hard to a certain point that when I was about to take my IELTS exam, I was looking forward to it instead of shying away from it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing, Ray, because you knew you'd done the work, right?
Yes, you've got it. Yes.
Wow. Okay, so a few things here. So you got up, did you say at 3 a.m.?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
everybody watching, Ray got up at 3 a.m. Let me repeat that. Ray got up at 3 a.m. That is amazing. I mean, that shows real grit and determination and commitment. The other thing that was interesting you said is that you put your phone on airplane mode because you didn't want to have the distraction. So,
Yes, you're right. Yes. To about that one, I understand that as a culture for Filipinos, they're more attached to social media,
Uh-huh.
especially with the advent of technology nowadays.
Yes.
So that for me is distraction. And if I let in myself to those kind of distractions, then I will be cheating myself and those who supports me the most. I wasn't born rich, and I was just fortunate enough that my sisters were really helpful to help me during those times. And I thought to myself, if I'm not going to give it 300% all in, then I will be cheating them the most. So,
Wow.
yeah, to be honest with you, and of course, aside from that one, I took a lot of exams before. So that was one of the techniques that I use. I put my Facebook on off mode, my Instagram on off, everything on off mode. Just me and my books and my laptop for study. That's just it.
Yeah. Total focus, total
Yes.
dedication.
Yeah.
And Ray, how long did you do that for?
You might not believe it, but I was so pressed for time that I have to do it for 1 week.
Wow. Okay. So you did it in 1 week, the whole
Yes,
preparation?
I yes, but that was specific for me because
Yeah.
I was thinking I didn't want to waste my time because my dad always told me that time is always gold. It
Mhm.
may be a cliche, but timing is everything. Timing is king, he told me. So he told me that if you're already done with your NCLEX and your IELTS is next, then you smash that goal already, then move on to the next. Then, so what's the next goal? So I have a list of my long-term goals and short-term goals in front of me. That is just the thing that distracts me most of the time. Aside from that one, just focus in and just close in on it.
Wow. I love how goal orientated you are. And I think that that will be inspiration for many people who are watching. Who's watching now? Please put into the chat, I'm inspired by Ray. Let's see who's inspired by Ray, because I think that what he's saying is just really so important that you need to have those goals. And it's not to say everybody will be able to do the study within 1 week. That is not going to be for everyone. Obviously, Ray's working in the UK, and his English was at a high level already because you got the band score to be able to work in the UK. So it's
Yeah.
not to say everybody's going to be in that same boat. Your English is excellent, Ray. But I think just the fact
Thank
that you
you.
had those goals and that you were that disciplined, I think, is amazing. So, okay, so we have lots of comments here. Congrats, Ray. Dor says congrats. Jason says congrats. Bert, congrats, Ray. You made it. Um, uh, who else we got here? Eunice, congrats, Ray. Nailed it, Ray. Eunice, so true. A real heart of a nurse. Eunice is saying 1 week. Eunice is wishing that was
Sorry.
yeah. Myra, total focus period. You're right, Myra. It's total focus. Dora, I'm inspired by Ray. Thank you. Milanis, I'm inspired by Ray. Milanis and Charlie are watching. Ronalyn, congrats. Eljon, I'm inspired. Charlie, so inspired. Eunice, I'm super duper inspired. Wow, nailed it.
Mhm.
Bert, I'm inspired by Ray. You're my idol. Jonah, Ender is watching. So many comments, so many people watching, really inspired. For those of you who are watching, please pay it forward. We are paying it forward to you by creating this group for you. Ray is paying it forward for you by sharing his story and inspiring you. We ask you in turn to pay it forward for others and to tag your friends so that they can watch Ray, they can hear his story and know what's possible. Because getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, making his goals clear, having the confidence that he was looking forward to his exam, that is something we don't hear every day. That he was looking forward to exam,
Yeah,
listening to
yeah.
comedians. I think that's also something, Ray. Talk a little bit about that. We had a nurse, I think it was Avon, who was saying that she loves horror. So she was listening to horror podcasts. And I think one great tip that Swish always advocate is that listen to something that you're interested in. Tell us about the comedians that you were listening to.
Well, actually, I was listening to Kevin Hart because I found him funny, and most of his topics I can really relate to. But aside from that one, I need also to study how spontaneous he is whenever he gives out a punchline or whatnot.
Hmm.
But at the same time, one of the techniques that I used was I had to identify first the things that I was passionate to. I was passionate rather about studying, about learning, about being goal oriented, about basketball, and what that sport brings values into my life, and
Hmm.
also with my dad as well. So with that being said, you can already incorporate those topics into the questions that will be thrown at you, and you will be surprised if you incorporate your passion into what the invigilator asks you. The English will come out to you naturally. Actually, during my exam, I was already doing some hand gestures and facial expressions as well because I was so into it. And lo and behold, I got more than what I was expecting. And I think if you just give it a try, you'll even be surprised with yourselves as well.
When you say you got more than you were expecting, was that in terms of your scores
Yeah,
or just the
in
experience
speaking.
in speaking? You
Well,
got more than what you thought in speaking?
yes, because I always thought that the original speakers of English was British English. I think that originated that language from. But at the same time, the the testing site that I went to was a school or a college rather that that's major in English literature as well. So the pressure was kind of high, but I said to myself, Ray, you already went so far. You already had people believing in you, and you don't want to let those people down.
Yeah.
So I just entered the room and just said, let's do it. Come on. Yeah.
Okay, look at that confidence, everybody. Ray has
Yeah.
the confidence, and you can too. There's no reason why you can't. It's just a matter about doing the work and having that dedication and that grit. And interesting thing also, Ray, you said about what you said to yourself. I have a master's in psychology, and I'm always like a big proponent of self-talk. And I think hearing you speak, you really were, it's what you say to yourself. Because when you're going to the exam, if you're saying to yourself, I can't do this, I'm too nervous, I'm going to fail, I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to make it. If that's your self-talk, as opposed to what Ray has just said, I can do this, I'm prepared, I've got my focus of what I want to accomplish, I can't wait for this exam, it's going to be fun. If that's your self-talk like Ray had, as opposed to that negative self-talk, I think that also is another factor that's really important to focus on when you're walking into the exam, right?
Yeah. I think you're right. And in addition to that one, at the end of the day, you will be taking care of patients. You will be saving lives. You can work in the ER where somebody will be, somebody has to be resuscitated. And if you'll be going into that IELTS room, into that speaking room, especially with an invigilator, it's understandable to be nervous. But at the end of the day, you have to think, if I don't give it my all in this exam, then I'll be shortchanging the patients that I'll be seeing in the future. And I don't want that to happen because at the end of the day, I'm a people first. I've sacrificed so much to be in this position where I am. Although it's still, baby steps, but at the same time, you know, it's still great strides for some people, and that's for me as well. So I think, yeah.
Wise words, Ray. What other pointers and tips do you have to share with everybody who's watching? We've got so many people watching you right now. Everybody is really inspired and loving what you are saying. What other pointers and or specific pointers and tips do you have to share in terms of the preparation for the IELTS?
For the speaking exam, one of the best technical tips that I got was to to speak rather in conversational English because it will train the aspirant or the aspirant rather to be more spontaneous. I think most aspirants have the idea already within their head or within their mind when they're asked the question. The problem is that how will they convert that thought process into words and to meaningful sentences and eventually to paragraphs or to statements rather. So with that being said, you have to practice and practice and practice conversing with someone. I even talk to people around my area who's Filipinos as well.
Mhm,
Please talk to me in English. I don't care if you laugh at me. I don't care if what you think of me.
mhm.
Just talk to me in English, and I'll be talking to you back in English as well. And they have supported me with that one as well. For writing, it's technical. Uh, you have to study on the number of words that must be written down in each task, and you have to determine um, like each paragraph or what says about it in each with as regards to the task. For example, for the graphs, for task one, you should have to have an introduction. At the end, you should have to have a conclusion. In the middle, you should have to have different comparisons and contrasts and different vital information within the graphs that you're seeing, as if that you're trying to report a certain information or a certain arithmetic information. And at the same time, read books because I think if you don't read books, you can't gain much input as what you want to write on your task too.
Mhm.
Aside from that one, I think the
Wow.
listening part and the reading part is a giveaway.
Okay.
For the reading rather, sorry. For
Yes.
the reading, the technique that I used was that I jump on the questions first because I need to determine what the question is asking for. Then when I come back to the paragraph where the question is is related to, just by skimming or speed reading it, within 10 seconds I can already pick out four right answers out of the six or seven questions.
Mm. Okay.
So
Wow.
so that's one of the techniques that I can use as well. In just like 5 to 6 seconds, you can already skim it so fast. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay. Wow, those are some fantastic tips. Really practical, very useful. I think a lot of really good options there for people to practice. The one just to highlight a little bit is where you said that you were speaking to other Filipinos. Um, the in the IELTS support group, we have now just started creating study rooms. So for
Yeah.
everybody who is watching, please look out for the times for the study rooms, because as Ray was saying, he was speaking to his colleagues, just saying to them, don't, you might think I'm crazy, but speak to me in English, which is a great technique to use. But you
Yeah.
can really come into the IELTS support group. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything, and we will be opening study rooms for you to, right throughout the week, whenever you have time to go in and to practice with other nurses who are also in the same boat, and you can help correct each other. And I think that that is something that really everybody should be doing. There's just no excuse. It doesn't have to take hours and hours of your time, but I think can make a huge difference.
Yeah.
And I can't believe we're out of time, Ray. That was such fun.
Me also. Yeah, I didn't notice the time as well.
Ah, any final words of advice, any final pearls of wisdom for everybody watching?
Okay. First of all, guys, don't give up on your dreams. You've already made this far. You might as well do your best. I know you have seen life-threatening situations in your life even before, so I don't find anything that you should be intimidated by this exam. But at the same time, I'm not saying that you relax. I'm just saying that if you find this nervousness or if you find this difficult, for me, what's difficult is someone who has no money or no food to feed his family, who's having COVID-19 with critical condition. That's what's difficult. This is kindly look at this as a tool for you to be able to extend your care to those patients who need you the most. And at the end of the day, don't lose your confidence. Don't lose that grit or that focus in order to improve yourself. Not just to pass the exam, but to improve yourself. Because at the end of the day, when I started first, I was really doing very poor with my speaking. Even right now, I still have to improve myself. Even right now, improving does not stop. You should give your best always. That's just it.
Wow, well, that was beautifully said. And your speaking is excellent, Ray. So keep
Oh,
up the
thank you
great
very much.
work. I think that
Oh,
was
thank you.
really
Thank you.
inspiring for everybody and 100% true. And I think being grateful is part of that because, you know, as you said, there's so many people who have a worse situation. I was even just thinking as you were talking on the Lafora talk show, one of the guests was saying when he came to the US, he had to fly here. He was jet lagged. He had to take his exam here and then fly back to the Philippines and wait for the result. And that was just horrific. Now these days things are easier because you can take it in outside of the US. So we have to be grateful. And I think, you know, grateful to have the opportunity that Swoosh is sharing free content
Yeah.
with you, helping you to have the tools and the techniques. So take that opportunity, grab it with both hands
Yeah.
and don't delay so that you can be like Ray, smiling, happy, here coming on an IELTS Hero interview and moving forward to live your best life.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Ray. It was an absolute pleasure speaking to you. It was really fun. I think everybody learned a lot from you. We wish you continued success, and I can't wait to see you in America.
Well, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to see you as well. Thank
And
you.
everybody who's watching, please tag your friends. Make sure that they see this video. Let's get involved. This is your community. Make it your own. Build those connections. Help each other. We are all in this together. And let's shed some light. Let's create more IELTS heroes and eliminate some of the worry of moving to America so that you can live your American dream. And please continue to watch everybody because Alex will now be starting his review so that you can get some great info from that as well. Thank you, Ray. Stay safe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You too
Bye-bye.
as well. Yeah. Bye
Bye-bye.
bye.